This movie had so much potential. The Wretched is directed by Drew and Brett Pierce, who also directed the movie Deadheads. And it tells the story of a teenage boy's battle with an ancient witch who can wear people's skin. Yeah, it's as weird as it sounds. And what drew me to this movie when I saw the trailers was the practical effects and the cinematography. I like when horror movies do a really good job in those areas, especially practical effects when the monster is not CGI. I really hate when we get into this trend of CGI everything. And there's good CGI, don't get me wrong, but I feel like in horror you need that like just raw physical feel that prosthetics give, and this movie is definitely one of them. So going into this movie, I didn't think that the witch in this movie would have such a crazy backstory. I mean, I looked into this thing, which I don't recommend, by the way. I looked into this witch that they talked about in this movie, and it's called like a boo hag. The name sounds funny yet terrifying at the same time. It sounds like one of those witches or ghosts or demons or whatever that you would read about in a Japanese horror story, like those short stories, like something like The Grudge or something. And yeah, this thing is pretty terrifying. It kind of has that like Blair Witch vibe. And like I said in the beginning, they just do a good job of her design. I love her, the way that they make her move and the sound effects that she makes. I mean, there's nothing new here. It's like when somebody goes like this and not like that, the bone sound, like the bone popping sound effect comes on. But this, the way that they film it and the way that the actors that the witch inhabits, the different bodies that the witch inhabits, all those actors, the way they do the physical acting, it just all blends in together to make this creature come to life. And it's freaking terrifying. This witch is probably the scariest thing I've seen all year. And I saw Fantasy Island and Dangerous Lies, and those things were the scariest things I've ever seen. Like, seriously, I mean, those movies are so freaking bad, man. And I think in horror movies, especially, you really have to have like some good cinematography. I think it just makes it even better, even scarier. Because when you have something that looks so good mixed with something that you're trying to scare people with, it's just too. It's like peanut butter and jelly. You gotta have both of them to make a good sandwich. Or you could just be like one of those weird people that just have like jelly sandwiches or just peanut butter sandwiches. That just sounds disgusting. And the pacing in this movie is really nice too. It's at like an hour and 35 minutes, and I think that's just like a perfect run length for any movie. It doesn't even have to be a horror film, but I think for a horror film, it lends itself even better because you just want to like get the story out there. And because in horror movies, I'm not looking for much. At least for me personally, I'm not looking for much. I'm looking for, you got a scary monster, nice premise or something, scary monster, good cinematography, decently acting doesn't have to be that good, which is in this movie it's not that good, but the monster in here and the story that they set up is enough, mixed with the cinematography, everything blends together. Runtime, it's just like a perfect blend. But sadly, that's probably all the praise I'm going to give this movie, because the rest of the movie isn't really that good. It's so disappointing too, because this movie had so much potential. It has everything. It has cinematography, has a good monster, has a good story, but it just falls flat at executing that story. I said that the way that the pacing is good, and it is good. It's just at times you're asking yourself like, why do people do what they do in this movie? And they kind of try to explain it because the witch has a certain kind of power in this movie, but I felt like they leaned on that a little bit too much. They're like, oh, this happened, but we didn't show it to you on screen because the witch's power. And you're kind of sitting there like, I mean, all you have to do is just show a scene, her doing whatever, doing her little mumbo jumbo. This is me, my spell incantations. And just show her doing that, and it wouldn't even take 5 minutes. It's like 5 seconds at most. Show her doing these things, and then people wouldn't look stupid on screen. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, why don't you just call the cops? Or why don't you just look at that? Or why don't you just talk to that person? And like I said, at the end, they just try to wrap it up. It's like, oh, the witch did it. That's the witch's power. and it just felt lazy. It just takes you out of the film. It just makes you think about those moments all the time because you're sitting there, all this cool stuff's happening. The witch is doing her thing, and it's a beautiful film to look at, and you're just sitting back. You're like, but why did that happen though? Sitting there for like a good 5 minutes trying to figure out why the characters are so stupid. And let's talk about the characters because oh boy, they are pretty stupid in this movie. There's a lot of them, and not only are they stupid, they're just unlikable. So the lead actor in here, the kid, the teenage boy who was tasked of destroying this witch, he's kind of unbearable in the beginning. I would say first 20 minutes, but he does kind of redeem himself a little bit. I'll just say in quotes because he just becomes less annoying. But everybody else, they're just so whiny and stupid. Like they're doing stupid stuff. And again, I know the movie tries to explain it. It's the witch's fault, but nah, I'm not giving all the witch all the credit here. Okay, some of these people are doing some stupid stuff. But overall, guys, I thought this movie was okay. Again, like I said, it had potential. It just doesn't go far enough and to become a really really good film that I would just recommend. I'll be like jumping out of my seat and saying like you have to go watch this. It's okay, it's decent. If it comes on like Netflix or something around Halloween time, I'd say definitely go check it out because it's free technically. I mean, you're paying for the service, or are you? Are you paying? Are you one of those people? Are you stealing somebody else's Netflix, or you probably just got your mom's Netflix? Lucky you. But guys, let me know what you think of The Wretched in the comments down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Have you seen it? Are you gonna see it? Do you want to see it? Do you like witches? Check out some boo hags. It just sounds so weird when I say it. I actually probably don't check out boo hags because I don't want to be like liable for any weird creepy stuff that happens. But guys, checking me out on Twitter. Also check me out on my Letterboxd where I'll be doing some written reviews, which I haven't done in a while, but I will be catching up on those for sure. And as always, guys, keep watching movies.